I actually didn't. The profession chose me.
Indeed.
For me, when my mom got sick and she was going through about cancer, writing was my outlet. Because my mom was a writer.
Oh.
So like I never had a desire to be a writer, never thought about it, never entered my mind. So like it was my therapy when I was going through that and dealing with the fact that I was about to lose my mom. And my first book got published just by chance. And I still didn't want to be a writer. I was committing crime. So in the second book I did on a dare. Like because my publisher was like, well, I had retired after the first book, so I was like,
got a little bit of money, okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And my publisher was like, well, people saying you're one hit wonder, you can't do it again. I'm like, yeah, it's just simple. Why did I do this? I did another book. So as I'm doing the second book, I'm falling in love with the craft. Like that's when I think by the time my third book came out is when I started saying, you know what, I want to go out this.
Indeed.
Because the most amazing thing about writing is I never had any formal training. I sat down the very first time I tried it was my first book, which was gangster.
Really?
So it was the most natural thing I'd ever done. It was like breathing when I sat down.
Okay. Well, could you describe your growth as a writer from the time from the first book, Gangsta, up until this point? What have you learned along the way? What remains the same? What's become harder?
I think my growth is the fact that like, when I first started writing, I didn't really understand the art of composing a complete story. It was just all raw talent and emotion, me just spilling on the pages. So as I grew and I got with a good editor and started learning from the editor, I began to see, okay, well, this is how you compose a good story. This is a good way to develop character. My dialogue began to broaden. My vocabulary, just different things. So I think that I bring rapid growth. Like I'm way more polished as a writer now. But the one consistent thing with me is I write from my heart. Like I don't write what's popular. I don't care what's popular because I'm not necessarily writing for any particular audience. I'm writing for me and for the people who can benefit from my stories. So it's like I keep it true to myself, and it gives a lot of people fever because they're like, "Oh, we need you to do this." It doesn't really matter what you need to do because I'm going to do what I want to do because this is my story.
True indeed. Essence best-selling author. Refresh my memory as to which book that was and what was your initial reaction?
There were several of them. I was an Essence bestseller for Gangster. I was an Essence bestseller for Hoodlum. I was an Essence bestseller for Hoodrat. I was an Essence bestseller for Gutter. I want to say Still Hood made it too. Yeah, I believe Still Hood made it also because they did away with the list not long after. And my reaction when I first made it because like it was on my bucket list when I first got in the game. So when I first made it, Gangsta debuted at number 3. And I was like, I still have the poster. I mean, it was like a little plaque that the publisher had made and I put on the wall. And I was just so amped. I thought, oh man, my shit has come in. But you know. And it was definitely an accomplishment and a blessing. What I didn't understand back then that there was just so much more to it, and I had so much more that I would go on to do.
Okay. Now, in this whirlwind, how have things changed for you from the perspective of? I mean, we all like to think that we can go back to the hood whenever we want. I just came back from my hood, Trenton, New Jersey. Have you been getting love, or because depressed people want to pass on depression to success.
Absolutely.
So how has that been? Has you been getting love? Oh, pardon me. Where are you from?
I'm from Harlem.
Oh, you from Harlem? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
But I live in New Jersey.
That's right. I knew that. So how has that been? That above, 110th Street.
It's like, I mean, there are people who don't wish me well. And then there are people who are just like, come on with Friday. So like I go through my hood like I go anywhere. That's not saying like I'm bulletproof, but I go anywhere. I'm a man first and foremost, so I'm gonna go wherever I want to go. And if I happen to go through it, I just moved from Newark, so I was living there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm like, some people embrace it, and some people just like he Hollywood or he this or he that. How I'm Hollywood if I'm sitting on the same bench where I grew up, like.
Yeah.
Kicking it, what I mean, in front of my building where I grew up, and how is that Hollywood?
I know. Believe me, I know, but this is about you. So, you know what I'm saying? So, describe to me, Animal. Tell my people what's it about, and what was the creative process behind it.
Animal is a beast. This young boy right here.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the greatest characters ever created in a street novel.
Really?
Yeah.
Describe him, please.
Animal is tortured soul. His father left him. His mother didn't want him. Stepfather abused him. It's like everyone he ever came in contact with from the time he was born abused him in one way or another. So now you have a kid who's just going through it. And that's how we got the name Animal, because he was always dirty. He was always eating out of trash cans. And they're like, you're an animal. You're not even a human. You're an animal. His name is Tayshawn, and they started calling him Animal because he used to smell and things like that. But
I knew a couple dudes like that.
Yeah. And what ended up happening with young Tayshawn, he embraced it. It got to the point where he was like, okay, you call me an animal? Let me show you how an animal conducts himself. So now he's like, when I first introduced him, he was like a teenager, but they would tell ghost stories about him, like, you don't be upstairs before the street lights come on, the animal's gonna get you. But he's a street dude, but he was very smart. Like when his friends were buying cars and jewelry with the money they made in the streets, he was buying art, and he was buying books, and he was reading, and he was studying just for his own personal, because that's him. It's like in the opening scene in one of the books, he gets into an argument with one of his friends because he has a vintage copy of one of the Doors albums, one of the Doors early albums, and his friend was breaking weed up on it. So he's scolding him and he's schooling him on the history of the band and not their contribution to rock music. So that's just how he is. Like Animal, he's very different. He's an anti-hero. Very different character, and he has a heart of gold until you cross him. And he's one of the people, when you cross him, all bets are off. Nobody's innocent. We'll go anywhere. We'll kill anything.
The story.
The story of Animal. Let me take it back to Section 8 when I first created him. Animal has gone through several transitional periods of years. I introduced him as a teenager. He's a young upstart criminal. Ends up meeting a girl, but it's not the typical boy meets girl, drunk and love story. Not like that. See, these are two broken kids. Animal was someone who didn't believe that love existed because he had never experienced love. And I'm sorry, I hope that's not wrong.
No, that's not. No, it's not.
So, and it seems like he meets Gucci. Gucci has trust issues. So, Gucci essentially teaches Animal how to love, and he teaches Gucci how to trust. So, throughout that book, the way that book wraps up is he makes it out of the hood. He becomes a rapper and successful career. The next book, Welfare Wifeys, which is a fanfic title, it's ironic. In Welfare Wifeys,
fine, brother.
It's like now Animals is a big rapper. He has an album about to come out. He's got law. He's got he moved his people to Texas. He's got money. He's got his girl, but he's still bitter about the events that took place before he left New York. How his friends were murdered and certain things that went on. So he's in New York on a promotional tour, but he's killing people. And they know he's doing it, but they can't prove it because they're like, this dude is on billboards in Times Square. He couldn't possibly be that stupid, but it's the principle. Animal is very loyal. He's like a loyal dog. Very loyal. So he tried to live with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And we all know that don't work. You're either in or you out.
Wow.
So it caught up with him. And he was sentenced to, I think they convicted him for like 60 murders. Young boy, he's not even 21. So in transit to prison, he was kidnapped by and then that brings in the next book, Eviction Notice. He's kidnapped by his older brother's best childhood friend, who's now like a crime czar, and he's involved in political assassination in different countries. So he's teaching Animal. He's like, you're a street dude. I'm going to teach you how to kill with style and for money. So the whole time he's in Puerto Rico, like 2 years passes between books. He's thinking about this girl he abandoned because he didn't say goodbye to anybody. No one knows whether he's dead or alive. He's always thinking about Gucci and how he abandoned her. Fast forward, Gucci gets hit by a stray bullet. And so they're telling him, he's like, I gotta go see what's up there. And they're like, you're wanted by every major law enforcement agency, but you can't go home. He goes home anyway. So the way the book ends is he comes and he's in the hospital room and this girl is there teetering between life and death, and he snaps. He has this moment like, you know what? I have to be Animal again. I can't be Tishon. This is what I meant by there's no love. There's no fairness in the world, and God doesn't love us. So I would, so it's like he's going to rain fire on the world. And that's what the book Animal is about. Animal is just, you got this kid who's just been through so much and he can't get a break. And then this was just the last straw. So now he's like, I'm going to erase everybody that had something to do with it. I don't even care if you were just somebody that was in the club when she got shot. You died. And so he's going at it with like just these different factions in the street. And I call it a throwback street novel because I was able to just write with total creative freedom. And I was like, I haven't read a good street novel in maybe 6-7 years. Let me give him one. I wanted to take it back to my roots because everybody was used to reading my hood rat stories about the girls and their situations, and Animal was a co-star in those books. But I'm like, let me show them that I still can go. I can still go and best them. Like, ain't nothing changed. This is what it is. So I wrote a story that it's jaw-dropping. It's a great story. It's not just shoot up, bang, bang. It's a very interesting story about redemption, about betrayal, about love, about letting go of grudges, about consequences, repercussions, things like that. But the commonality is carnage. Because he's like, they're chasing a ghost in New York. Like, people are dying left and right, clumps and groups at a time. And they're like, there's only one person who inflicts this kind of damage, but he's no longer around. And nobody's seen him in years. He's dead and gone. And it's Animal, and so there's these two detectives chasing him like, we know it's him, but we have to prove to everybody, because everybody's looking at them like they're crazy, like they're like, Animal is dead, he's been dead, and they're like, man, I'm telling you, he here somewhere because this has his fingerprints, or because the way he kills people, like, let me give you an example, the opening scene, he takes one of the young boys who worked for a dude who had his girl shot, and he beats him, he cuts his throat to the bone, and he carves the word war in his face and dumps him on the street to send a message like it's on. I declare war on all of you. So he has just these very colorful methods of killing people, which is another reason why they call him the Animal.
Okay, all right. Now, we all know broken people, you know what I'm saying, and things have happened in our lives that have shaped the decisions that we made as youths. What do you personally think could be done in some of our communities to try to put some of these young men back together again before it's too late? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think about it every day. I think about it every time I ride through North. I think about it every time I ride through my hood and I see these kids out there just posted up. They may not be selling drugs, they just posted up, and it's like, we have to give them something. You can't tell a kid, get off the corner. Okay, well, if I'm getting off the corner, where I'm going? But you can't tell the kid, don't sell drugs. Okay, well, if I don't sell no drugs, how about my baby Pampers? So we have to kind of figure a way collectively as a community, because this is the problem. Everybody's out for self, trying to deal with their own problems. And like, if we all live in the same community, we're all suffering the same problems. Why are we trying to solve these problems individually instead of as a collective? So I think we have to bring that back and try to find ways to provide opportunities and outlets for these young men. It's like, look, they're cutting all like the summer youth program, free lunch.
When I was coming up, everything was free.
Exactly.
My sister was in African dance. I played basketball. Little writers' workshops. Like every Saturday or Sunday, there was something. And then they're taking it all from the children now.
Because they want us to be in the street doing wrong. They're forcing us to the streets. It's like a twisted experiment. Like, none of this is by accident. This is all premeditated. Look at the ages they're targeting young men when they're taken into prison, between the ages of, let's say, 13 and 20. These are pivotal years, because these are the years when you discover who you are and what kind of adult you're going to be. So if you're caged for these years, and your kids are like a sponge, so you soak up survival instincts. So then they turn you loose on the street, and now you're like, because that's all you know. Like some dudes, I can't wait to get to jail. You sound crazy. That's all they know. Yeah. And then, and now it's like, okay, now we turn you loose into the street, and we send you back to your community so you can tear it up. And once you've done tearing it up, we're going to come shoot your black ass and say we did a good thing. So it's all a plan. And people probably going to look at me crazy for saying this, but this is how I feel, and this is what I believe.
No doubt.
It's all a plan, man.
It's I don't believe in coincidences. You know, I try to look at things from a scientific perspective, and you know, certain variables have to be lined up just right for certain things to happen, and the manner in which they happen. You know, take for example you and your book, and you know how you came to be a writer. You know, things happen for a reason. Now, as far as this book, Animal, is concerned, when is the release date?
Today.
Today.
Yeah.
So what are some other promotional things that you're going to be doing around the city to promote the book?
Well, you know, like if you go on like Twitter or Facebook, Team Animal is heavy. Like, I've been promoting this book since my birthday is in December. I've been promoting this book since December of 2011.
Oh, word.
And got the Team Animal movement going. Like, if you look on Facebook, Grill Nation, everybody has this profile pic. So it's like, I do a lot of reader interaction stuff. I like to have the readers be interacting, and like how we have like Team Animal captains in every city that are responsible for getting the word out and gathering the people who support Team Animal in those cities, and y'all get the word together from New York to Florida to Louisiana, like we everywhere. So, and then you know, like we're doing like the stuff that Publishing House is doing, like the event we're doing tonight at the Sheridan. I'm on a promotional tour right now. I just came back from Dallas. I'm going to Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit. And this is the most interesting thing about me. You would expect that. I mean, I do have retail chain bookstores on my tour schedule, but I'm a big supporter and a firm believer in keeping the mom and pop bookstores around. So that's the bulk of what I'll be doing on my tour, supporting the mom and pop bookstores, the independent stores, because we're losing black bookstores left and right.